So I know I'm late to the party, but there's a brand new LLM that people are raving about online called DeepSeek. And in this quick video, I'm going to be talking about what DeepSeek is if you've never heard of it. And I'm also going to be running a few tests against OpenAI's o1 model when it comes to reasoning and research. So be sure to stick around for the entire video. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan, and my mission is to help you navigate the overwhelming world of artificial intelligence. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools and prompts that I use for marketing and content creation, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. You can find the link for this below this video. But now let's get back in and explore DeepSeek. So first of all, if you've never heard of DeepSeek, I'd recommend going to their official website at deepseek.com. I'll leave a link to this and everything else that I mentioned in the video description below. And in order to get started, all you need to do is click Start Now. If you want to use the web application, all you need is an email or even a Gmail account to get going here. And this is what the interface looks like. I'm going to come back to that here in a little bit. You can also access the API. You can create your own API keys, and it's also very inexpensive compared to what the other top AI models are in terms of API pricing. But again, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well. And if I come back to DeepSeek's website, the very first thing that I like is they have a short description of what this LLM is and why you should use it over the other top models. So it says DeepSeek v3 achieves a significant breakthrough in inference speed over previous models. It tops the leaderboard among open source and rivals the most advanced closed source models globally. The big takeaway here is that this is an open source model. The only other top open source model, in my opinion, that's mainstream right now is Llama. That's the one owned and operated by Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram. GPT-4o, o1, all of OpenAI's models and also all of Claude's models are closed source. They are not open source, and that is a big deal in my opinion. However, there is some cause for concern here as I went to the Wikipedia page and found out that this is owned and operated by a Chinese AI firm, and it's also backed by a Chinese hedge fund. I don't know about you guys, but that gives me a little area of concern there. If I'm going to input any personal data, company data, I would recommend not doing that. Knowing that this is owned and operated by a Chinese AI firm definitely is a pause for concern. I also went over to DeepSeek's Twitter or X account just to see what other people were talking about this, and they posted all the updates here. But one of the first replies reads the following: "Your privacy policy needs to explicitly state that you won't use our data for training. As it stands, it appears unsafe for any commercial entity to use your model hosted on your site." And they didn't reply to this yet or anything like that. So again, make sure you're using this LLM with caution. And the same honestly applies to any large language model, in my opinion. I would never upload any personal or business information that you don't want these third-party companies selling or tampering with. Now, looking at the benchmarks really quickly on their website, what I noticed right away is apparently DeepSeek is outperforming all of the top AI models right now in various categories: English, code, math, Chinese. As you'll see, they've bolded here. That means I think they've beaten every single model, including GPT-4o, Claude 3.5, I would assume that's Sonnet, Llama 3.1, the previous model of DeepSeek, and Quen. I'm not really sure what that one is. But regardless, they're basically boasting that DeepSeek is better than a lot of these existing AI models in these various categories. And I say this time and time again, whenever I see benchmark tables like this, just to warn you guys, always take these with a grain of salt. Of course, the AI company is going to say their model is best at XYZ category. Now, if we head over to the Chatbot Arena LLM leaderboard on Hugging Face, this is a really good resource that has almost 2.5 million votes, right? These are people in the AI community constantly testing the latest and greatest models. And what I notice is that DeepSeek v3 is currently ranking number 9 out of all these models. So it's not one, but the fact that the community thinks that this model is in the top 10 definitely says something. Now, Gemini Experimental 1206 is number 1. We have some other Gemini models here. ChatGPT 4o, we have o1 Preview ranked right above the DeepSeek v3. Interesting that the Preview model is ahead of DeepSeek v3 according to the community, but I'm going to test that here later in this video. Now, when it comes to the API pricing, this is where things start to get interesting. And for full transparency, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, I don't run a SaaS tool or anything like that. But I know for people building apps and running SaaS tools, API pricing of these AI models is very important. And so here is DeepSeek Chat's model. So here's the context length 64K, max output tokens 8K. But the input price, what I don't understand is the difference between cache hit and cache miss. Regardless, this one's less than 2 cents per million input. Even this one is 14 cents per million input, and the output is 28 cents per million output tokens. So let's compare that to OpenAI. Here's the O1 model, $15 per million input tokens. And on the output here, it has $60 per 1 million output. Now, again, that's OpenAI. That's a O1, excuse me. That's a very expensive model. But even if we come up to GPT-4o, it's still $2.50 per million input and also $10 per million output. So again, a huge pricing significant difference there when it comes to API pricing when we're looking at OpenAI's top models versus what we get with DeepSeek. So if you're still following along here, now I want to run some quick tests of comparing DeepSeek versus ChatGPT, more specifically the O1 model, and also Perplexity, as what I'm going to be testing are the research capabilities, as you'll see there's a search function here, and also deep think when it comes to reasoning. And I'm going to admit, when it comes to anything related to ideation, content creation, content repurposing, things of that nature, I'm still going to be sticking with ChatGPT. I just think the fact that there's no ability to create a custom GPT or anything like that yet, I'm not going to be shifting my efforts completely from ChatGPT Plus over to DeepSeek or anything like that. I just want to quickly test what they claim as they excel in research and reasoning. So the first example is a very basic one to kind of test the research functionality. And I just said to provide the top 5 trending AI news today. And by the way, I did enable this search function when I did it. Here's all my chats here on the left-hand side. So similar to what we see with OpenAI, you can rename it, delete it, etc. And so here's the response that I got from that simple prompt. It says, here are the top 5 trending AI news on January 6, 2025. So that's good that it labels that date there so I know that this is recent. Here's number 1, AI agents take center stage, okay? So it provides a little blurb about what this piece of news is, and it also links off to various sources. We have tech startups, we have Forbes, so that links off to a recent article. If I go back here, let's see if this links off to a recent article. And I believe it does, yes. But what I also notice about this is it links off to a Microsoft article, but it's in Chinese. And so, by the way, that would be one thing that I notice if you're trying to use DeepSeek for research, is it does list some Chinese sources. So just keep that in mind. Multimodal AI breaks new ground. Again, it lists all the sources, another one in Chinese. So another, look at one here in Chinese again. But these are recent stories. OpenAI transitions to a public benefit corporation. Global AI race intensifies. And if I come over to ChatGPT, enabling that search GPT functionality, again, same story here. January 5th, 2025. Here's some top trending articles. This actually is wrong. Google Gemini surpasses GPT-4. I don't believe this is recent. September 28th, 2024. That's not that recent. So there's some errors here when it comes to Search GPT. And I talked about how Search GPT actually isn't the best model to be using right now or best AI tool to be using right now for research or anything web related. What you can do is come over to Perplexity, and that's what I still use for a lot of research prompts. I said the same thing, provide the top 5 trending AI news today. And here it gave me, let's see, Microsoft's $80 billion investment. Let's see the source it links off to here. So let's see if this is a recent article. Yep, January 5th, 2025. Samsung's 2025, OpenAI's O3 model achieves breakthrough score. That's very recent. AI-powered energy demand, that's recent. AI expands with NVIDIA. I believe that's recent as well. So again, if you're going to use anything like this, I'd recommend using Perplexity or even Google Search for that matter. DeepSeek did do a good job. The only thing I will say is it links to a lot of Chinese sources. And for me personally, I don't understand that stuff. I would imagine a lot of you watching probably don't understand Chinese as well. I would recommend relying on Perplexity or Google Search for anything related to recent research prompts. Now, I took a research prompt to the next level, and it reads the following. What are the best platforms for creating AI agents for beginners without coding or technical knowledge? Provide your top 3 platforms for beginners. And I gave it some context. Basically, I'm a solopreneur who needs AI agents for content creation, repurposing, and admin tasks. Found 44 results here in its search. Then it gives Bizway as one. It gives a description as why. It even links off to it. So it's Bizway's website, key features, free trial, no code AI workflow builder. Let's see here, best for solopreneurs. So I like how it has a best for key features, why it's great, and then it links off to the source. Relevance AI, same thing. Recast Studio, same thing. It even provides a table down here with the pricing, features, and best for. So not bad. I mean, that's a pretty good response in my opinion for that prompt. I've never actually tested those AI agent platforms. I'm just curious to see what the response looked like. And then I went to ChatGPT and more specifically the O1 model here, and I said the exact same prompt. And so here it took 27 seconds to think about it. And by the way, that's another thing I realized when using DeepSeek. The responses are a lot quicker than what you get with O1. Not the biggest deal in the world, just an observation that I found. So here it's saying Right Sonic, Zapier plus ChatGPT. It's saying what it is, why it's great, how it helps getting started, right? I like that detail there. Let's see here, Agent GPT, right? So again, I don't know if these are the best options here. This response isn't bad as well. And if we come over to Perplexity with the exact same prompt here, Zapier Central, Diffie, it has key features. It links off to the source right here. And then there's voice flow, right? I don't know about this one, to be honest with you. But again, not bad. If we're looking at the top players right now when it comes to research related, again, I understand this is a very brief and quick example. DeepSeek is competing here with the likes of O1 and Perplexity, at least for this example when it comes to research. So lastly, I wanted to do a prompt related to reasoning and just compare the outputs that I get from OpenAI's O1 model. And the example that I used is not very technical by any means. It's a very simple reasoning prompt. I just wanted to see what I get and compare the results. So my prompt reads the following. What are the pros and cons of using AI generated content for a small business's social media strategy, and how should they decide whether to use it? So what I like right away is it took 7 seconds, right? Very quick, but it's also like it's talking to itself in the background, and you can read how it's thinking and determining its response. And so here's its response, right? Pros of AI generated content, cons, right? Nothing special there. How to decide whether to use AI generated content. That's all cool and whatever. And then I followed up and said, great. Now create a step-by-step SOP, including recommended AI tools I should use to start using AI to generate social media content. Again, this is really unique. It's talking to itself right here in the background, and you can see its thought process. So let's say, for example, there's something in here you don't like. You could follow up and say, actually, I don't like your thought process when you said this or when you said this. And then you can continue to refine its responses based on how it's thinking in the background. So here's an SOP it created, right? This is really cool. I think this is not bad, especially considering it's a free LLM. And that's what I'm going to talk about in my final remarks of DeepSeek. And if I come over to ChatGPT using the O1 model, I did the exact same prompt here. Again, it gives me the pros, the cons, very similar to what I got with DeepSeek, how to decide if AI generated content is right for you. And then I said, great, now create a step-by-step SOP. So here's the step-by-step SOP that OpenAI O1 gave me. About the same response, in my opinion, in terms of quality and what I got out of this versus what DeepSeek provided. Quick reference checklist. I like this. Conclusion, blah, blah, blah. But again, going back, that's a very simple example when it comes to reasoning. Now, again, you could probably test a more advanced prompt on your own free time if you wanted to do that. But what I really like is that DeepSeek is a free LLM versus paying $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus, and also, by the way, having very limited usage of the O1 model. So wrapping up my final thoughts on DeepSeek, first of all, I appreciate you if you've made it this far into the video, and I apologize for not getting too advanced. There are several other videos I'm sure out there on DeepSeek if you're looking for more technical examples. But number one, I would say the fact that this is a free open source model that we can just come in here and start using with a free account, I think that's a huge pro. If we go to ChatGPT, for instance, right, you can't use OpenAI O1, the O1 model, on the free plan. You have to be a member of ChatGPT Plus to even use this. And by the way, you get very limited usage. So I think that's a huge pro of DeepSeek and also the API pricing. Again, I don't use API calls a lot for AI related things, but the fact that this is way more expensive or way less expensive, excuse me, than what we see with OpenAI's API prices, I think that is a huge plus, especially for those of you who are using these AI tools and API keys for building apps and SaaS tools and things of that nature. And even comparing the responses and the quick examples that I did of DeepSeek versus ChatGPT or O1 more specifically, they weren't that far off. So when it comes to a free model of this deepthink that they call it, right? This deepthink using DeepSeek, deepthink, say that to fast 10 times, but it's not that far off when it comes to what you get from OpenAI's O1 model. So I think that's very interesting. And by the way, guys, we are still in the first iterations of DeepSeek. This is a brand new LLM. And I will say, regardless of what any other clickbait video on DeepSeek tells you, I'm not going to be diverting any efforts from ChatGPT Plus, Notebook LM, Claude, or these main staple AI tools that I'm using over to DeepSeek. I'm going to be using it here and there, maybe for research or reasoning related prompts if I need help in anything of that nature, but I'm not going to be screwing up my existing systems and heading over to DeepSeek. The functionalities for kind of a versatile AI solution, in my opinion, aren't all there. The other red flag that you need to know goes back to what I said earlier about the data privacy concerns. The fact that this is owned by a Chinese AI company backed by a Chinese hedge fund, that is a huge red flag to me. So I'm not going to ever input anything with my personal data, my business data, anything like that, right? So just be very cautious of what you're using DeepSeek for. So now I want to hear your thoughts on DeepSeek and if you've started to test this against OpenAI's O1, other LLMs, and if you guys are more advanced watching this, please let me know in the comment section below. Again, I'm not very technical. I just want to be fully transparent about that. A lot of you guys watching this are probably a lot smarter when it comes to using these LLMs more than I am. But again, I appreciate you for being here. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you found any sort of value in this video, but most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.